My paper and my projected research project that I'm hopefully going to complete next semester is on the multimedia use and the creation and the effect of this on long-term memory. Now, in my abstract, I tried to talk about time efficiency in teaching. That is really what I'm trying to focus on. Is multimedia learning, can it be an effective use for teachers to save time in their teaching and still produce an increased long-term memory for our students as they're starting to think differently? Now, it all goes back to starting like in the 1980s, well, heck, even before that, even with television. We had those naysayers or the futurists saying that, oh, television's going to rot their brain. And then you have the others going, oh, television's the end all. Everybody's going to be wonderful and be oh so smart. And, well, as our society has become increasingly immersed in the digital technology, some of the thoughts have changed. I mean, now TV is not going to rot our brains, and now it's the computers. But we have this group of children that they're immersed in it their whole lives. I mean, everything that they do, they have computers at home, they carry around little games, they have their phones, that everything is this digital. I mean, they all have something with them. And then you have the others that don't have anything. And so we have these digital native communities within our communities, and it's really making a difference in the type of education that these children are expecting when they come to school. And it's creating an even larger digital divide. These digital natives is kind of the term that's being used for the kids that are growing up just totally immersed in the digital community. They have a different expectation for learning. They expect it to be instantaneous, immediate. They don't expect the teacher to know everything, because just about anything they want, they can find on Google. It's just, so the teacher getting up there and just spouting off information and let's read the book and let's go line by line and you read and I read and you read and I read, they tend to get bored. And so the teachers are thinking that they're not paying attention. Well, they really just think that it's wasting their time. But to be able to really reach the kids, I think from what the research that I've read was talking about is that the teachers are going to need to start changing their teaching style and the language that they're using if they want to reach these digital natives along with our normal community children. Now, something else that's pretty interesting is the changes in the brain research that I was reading. One term that kept coming up was called neuroplasticity. And what this is I know when I was going through all my education classes, we thought that the brain was set in stone at 3 years of age, and then, based on all of those life experiences they had before then, that's what we attached all the knowledge to. That's how I was taught about the brain. But now they're finding out that the brain changes throughout our lifetime. As we put things in long-term memory, well, the more different ways that we put things in long-term memory creates these stronger and stronger bridges to that memory, which makes it stay, it makes it stronger. And then those things that we put in long-term memory but we don't ever attach to it again, we don't ever use it again, well, it actually dies off. And so that's the plasticity, the way that it's changing what we can remember and what we don't. And they're also found out that, how we used to, just pound kids with stuff, just all go, go, go. Well, now what they're finding out is that the spacing effect is more effective for long-term memory. In other words, give them a little bit and then wait, and then give them a little bit and then wait. And that this allows them to take a little bit, put it in long-term memory, then while they sleep, then take a little bit, put it in long-term memory again as they sleep. And if we do that, it builds a stronger connection to the long-term memory and they actually retain it longer. But one thing that we also have to keep in mind is, in cultures, different cultures think differently. They think about things differently. They are interested in other different kinds of things. Well, you've got to realize that these children are part of a digital culture. And we've got to be able to realize that they're thinking differently. They're thinking about things differently. They're thinking, their whole thinking process is different because of what their culture is. And if we're willing to do that for a child, you know, if we know that about a child that lives in India, that they're going to be interested in these type of things, why aren't we transferring that to these kids that are in the digital culture and thinking, oh, well, they're probably interested in different kinds of things, and changing our teaching to match that? And I don't see that happening. What I see multimedia learning is, it's really fast-paced. The kids can use it and go back and forth. They self-pace. They can go faster. They can go slower. It's up to them. And it's what they're used to. They like that fast pace. They like the visual and the auditory. They like to have control of it. Now, with the visual and the auditory, what I was reading about was called cognitive load. And what it's saying is that it's like having two bowls. Okay, this is how I pictured it in my head. You have two bowls, one for visual information, one for auditory information. And as a teacher, or the teacher is giving knowledge, or the student is learning knowledge, they have a visual cup that they're filling up. They have an auditory cup that they're filling up. Well, that's all fine and good, but once the cup is full, then they're not going to get a bigger cup. What happens if you keep pounding them with information, other stuff's spilling out, and the cup is staying the same size. And then once they relax and rest and go to sleep, it goes to long-term memory, and their cup is empty again, and they're ready to learn. If we start teaching according to the multimedia design principle, and keep in mind cognitive load theory, I think that we'll notice that there's a significant difference in long-term memory and the retention. And my research is going to be on vocabulary words. I want to see if they can retain vocabulary words longer using multimedia learning, and hopefully saving teachers some time in their teaching. My research proposal is 3 campuses. I'm going to give a pretest to all of them, but the difference in the 3 groups is one group is just going to view a multimedia learning project. One group is going to do that time-intensive synthesis, analysis, Bloom's technocracy, technology, taxonomy, and create a multimedia learning tool. And the third group is just going to have just a regular traditional classroom teaching, and then assess their learning of vocabulary after they have completed those projects, and then have a 3-week interlude, and then test them again. And what I'm hoping to see is that just interacting with the multimedia produces as good or better long-term memory than the time-intensive process of creating or the traditional classroom teaching of vocabulary.